So over here I have some leeks, and one thing I did with these leeks is around each leek I put a toilet paper roll, and that was just to help it protect it when it was a seedling. I was finding that the mulch was really smothering them, and you know, I'd forget where they were and I'd step on them or put something on top of them. So the toilet paper roll was a great way just to help them to get established, and they've grown really well that way. This is my current radish patch, and then down in the far corner over there we have some little baby silver beet that I've planted. This whole row actually was silver beet, but I wasn't very good at watering. Watering is my downfall with gardening. That's why I use mulch. It saves my plants that would otherwise die. But yeah, things still survive somehow. Behind me here I have the broccoli that I showed on an earlier clip. So these broccoli I've taken off the main head and I've just left the roots in the ground, and they have produced all these side shoots on the plants. This one here is like, it was a really big side shoot head, and it's a great way just to get more length of time out of your broccoli plants. You can eat them a little bit longer. There's kale there, lots of kale in the garden. I'm going to pick some of that today and make kale chip salad. And this here is a turnip. I'm leaving it in the ground because I got this turnip from some heritage seeds, and I want it to go to seed so that I can use the seed for next year's crop, because it's the last one that I've got. Over here I have some wombok cabbage seeds that I've let go to seed. It was a Bunnings plant, so I don't know if the seeds are hybridized or how they'll go, what they'll grow. But I thought I'd let it go to seed and try it out, and I found that wombok cabbage is a great, deterrent for slugs, or a sacrificial plant for slugs. So the slugs absolutely munched the wombok cabbage, but I didn't get a single slug bite in any of my other cabbages. So I'm really happy with that. I'm happy to sacrifice some wombok cabbage in order to keep our sauerkraut cabbages slug free. Over here we have a cabbage similar to the broccoli, where I've cut off the main cabbage head and just left the roots in the ground. Now I mainly did it with the idea of feeding the leaves to the chickens as they grew, because I harvested a lot of cabbage at the same time and I didn't want to overfeed the chickens with cabbage leaves. And I see that, you know, it's grown quite good little heads from it, so I don't know what they'll taste like. I'm going to pick them and see what they're like, but I thought that was pretty cool. If nothing else, the chickens will enjoy it. Okay, this is the end of my snow pea plants. Had a really good harvest of them that I've enjoyed and that the cockatoos have enjoyed. They are my regular visitors to this plant, which is a bit of a pain sometimes, but I've got to share something with the wildlife, I suppose. And then just behind we have some sugar snap peas that I planted a little while ago, and then some older sugar snap pea plants that are just ready to come out. I've pretty much picked the last of them now and eaten plenty and put some in the freezer for later on. So really happy with our harvest from those. This patch I'll come back to at another day. Basically I got a whole lot of nut grass through it and had to dig it out, but I'll show you what I did to get rid of it some other time. This here is New Zealand spinach, or warrigal greens, and that just comes up everywhere in our garden. I just let it grow wherever it's not in the way, and that's great for when you need a bit of spinach for some dishes or cook it up. It's quite tasty. Sometimes you can put the young leaves in salad as well. This is a self-sown tomato plant, and it's got some pretty good tomatoes on it. I'm not sure what they'll taste like, but pretty happy with the number of tomatoes, and this is more self-sown. This one here's a yellow kind of drop, almost like a Roma, I suppose, a baby Roma tomato, but a yellow one. And this one here I think will be a red one, I'm not sure, but it's had heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of fruit on it, so really happy. Actually maybe it's a yellow as well, because this one here's definitely a yellow one, so yeah, we'll see. But I love the yellow ones in the salad, they really give it a nice bit of colour. So more kale, plenty of kale this season, trying to get into using it a bit more. And behind us here we have our main tomato patch. So I've had some really good big tomatoes off these. They haven't been very flavoursome. I don't know if that's from my soil or whether it is the variety. I don't even remember what variety I planted, but I think they were something like a Black Russian or a beefsteak or something. Usually they are very flavoursome, but yeah, this year's ones were not very tasty, so I've tried to cover them up to protect them from the bugs and the grubs, mainly our lovely fruit fly. But yeah, I haven't been very good at covering them. Gardening takes a lot of time. I don't always have a lot of time, so it just does the best that we can. So there's another nice big one. This is a self-seeded tomato that I've had heaps off already, and not a really tasty fruit, but plenty of it and great for the salads. Over here we have another couple of rows of leeks there, and then this patch here I've just been preparing, and I'm going to plant some corn in it today, and then in a few weeks time I'm going to plant some snake beans that will climb up the corn, and a rock melon plant. So the idea is that the corn provides shade for the rock melon plant and also a place for the snake beans to climb up. So we'll see how it goes. It's the first time I've tried that. In the background there's some wooden stakes, and I'm going to put cucumbers around the edge there. So down here I have a massive turnip. It's been in the ground for 2 years. I was hoping it would go to seed, but it never did. So I finally pulled it out of the ground, and I'm gonna peel it and see if it's any good, see if it's tasty still or not, or if it's too stringy and old. We'll see. Okay, over in this patch we've had some zucchinis which have come to the end of their life. I've found it's not recommended to grow zucchinis in winter because they have problems with mildew, but I have had no success growing them in summer here because of the fruit fly and bugs. So they don't grow big over winter, but I get quite a good crop, and at least it's something. So that's what's been growing here, and I cover them up to try and protect them from the mist, because the mist is what tends to kill them off. And this is the frost cloth that I was covering the tomatoes with, but hopefully our last frost has gone. So here we have some more parsley, and you can see it's just a huge bush of parsley, and some lettuces and more parsley and warrigal greens there. This was my cabbage patch. I had 55 cabbages in this patch, most of which we've picked now and has been turned into sauerkraut, and we'll get to enjoy that for a few more months yet. Just got to pick out the last of these cabbages, and the same kind of story. I've left the roots in the ground, and then I use the leaves and pick them and give them to the chickens as a bit of a snack. Down in the corner of the cabbage patch I've just planted this, which needs a bit more water, sorrel, French sorrel, so it's really yummy to add to salads. And then we've got tansy, some more nasturtium, and I think it's mugwort. Not quite sure. It kind of takes over the garden, so I'm going to try planting it somewhere else. and then pull this out of the ground. This was my pea patch, so I had climbing peas up the back. I had another row there which I've pulled out, and then some bush ones at the front here. And my end analysis is that while the bush ones did produce peas nice and early, they weren't that productive in terms of the ground space that they took up versus the amount of peas that they produced. So I think definitely next time I'm going to stick to the climbing peas, because they're something that you tend to pick and freeze anyway. You don't really eat them straight away, so I'll stick to that in the future, I think. That pretty much does it for the main part of the garden. I'll take you around and show you a little couple of projects that we've got outside the main garden area and what we're doing with those. Over here near the chicken yard, we have grown potatoes in a method that we saw on the internet. So what we did is we started off with putting down cardboard. Actually no, sorry, back up. First of all, you put down compost and manure, lots of manure and blood and bone on the ground. Then you put down cardboard to stop any weeds coming through. And then in the cardboard we cut an X everywhere we wanted to plant a potato. And then put the potato down and covered it with sugarcane mulch, followed with plenty more manure, blood and bone. And then later on I've added some more compost, some more blood and bone, some more manure and some more sugarcane mulch, because it wasn't really thick enough. At first I was scared to put it on too thick that the potatoes wouldn't come through. But I'm going to build it up just a little bit more, because the idea is that if you cover up the potato plants as high as possible, then everywhere along here will produce potatoes and you'll get a much bigger harvest. So that's the plan, is to cover it up a little bit more. I might just cover it up to here, try and get that depth, and see how many potatoes that we get out of this patch. And then when it's finished, we're going to have an awesome garden, a patch here for growing other stuff. It should be really good soil, so we'll see what happens with that. So I'm in the chicken yard now, and this is one of the cuttings that I took from that basil bush that I was saying before. It's just grown really, really well. I put this basket around it to protect it from the chickens digging around the roots, because they just love digging up the dirt, don't you? Hey? And yeah, it's just really flourishing, so I'm really happy with that. This here is 2 compost bins that we started. We were trying to do the hot composting method. It worked for a while, but then I just didn't have enough greens, I think, enough nitrogen material, so it got too cold. But it's still rotting away there. Over here we have the little duck pond for the ducks, and it needs cleaning out fairly regularly because, as you can see, it gets quite dirty. And I thought I didn't want to waste all that water, so we have here the mulberry tree. And I thought, well, I'll build up a little bit around the edge there that I've covered so the chickens can't scratch it away, so that when I tip out the water, it actually can soak into the ground around the roots of this tree, and instead of running away down the paddock. So we'll see how that works. I tried planting some nasturtium around it, but it looks like the chickens have attacked it. But nasturtium's pretty hardy, it will probably still come back. This is the lemongrass that I took from the garden and have planted in the chicken yard. So I'll get rid of the other lemongrass in the garden now and just keep this plant. Well, that's all for now, folks, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.